FYP lecture week 3, I'll be guiding you on how to write your thesis, specifically on conclusion and recommendation. So conclusion is a summary of your whole research. Either you have achieved all of your objectives or not. So in this section you must include your summary, implications, suggestions for future research, limitations, and final remarks. How to write a stronger conclusion section. First thing first is you have to have an answer, argument, implications, and significance. In your answer, you have to include a decisive and clear answer to any question that you have set before. You have to have a statement of your argument. You have to have implications and significance of your argument. In your conclusion, you have to have statement of limitations. So you have to have your alternatives, weaknesses, and what your research will do to overcome those weaknesses. Your conclusion is really important piece, alright? Because it is the last piece of text in the thesis that the examiners will read. So examiners may have read the thesis over a series of weeks with interruptions and come back to recap via a quick read of the introduction and conclusion. Basic functions of a conclusion is to summarize what you've done, the nature of your main argument, how you've done it, what you've discovered, what pre-existing views were challenged. What is an argument? An argument takes a stance on an issue. It seeks to persuade an audience of a point of view in much the same way that a lawyer argues in a case in a court of law. It is not a description or a summary. A thesis statement is a sentence in which you state an argument about a topic and then describe it briefly how you will prove your argument. So this is an example of an argument. So in the movie JFK, it accurately portrays President Kennedy because of the way it ignores Kennedy's youth, his relationship with his father, and the findings of the Warren Commission. Basic functions of a conclusion is to provide an overview of the new knowledge or information discovered, the significance of your research, the limitations of your thesis, speculations on the implications of these limitations, areas for further development and research. How to speculate on the implications of the limitations in your conclusions. If your findings do not show support for the theory, then you might want to speculate about why. So this part of discussion allows you to think critically about your findings. Your lack of evidence might be a result of limitations to your particular study, but perhaps something is wrong with the related theory itself, so you could propose an important addition to the theory. The one must and the three ideals. So the first must is you have to make a clear and concise statement of the original contribution to knowledge found in your thesis. Ideally, you should aspire to show links between the key ideas spread across the chapters. You have to show your commitment to and enthusiasm for academic research. You have to leave a positive impression to the examiner. V5 avoids. Avoid claiming findings that you have not proven throughout your thesis. Avoid introducing new data. Avoid hiding weaknesses or limitations in your thesis. Avoid making practical recommendations. Avoid being too long or too short. So this is an example of how you can structurize your conclusion sections. So in one paragraph you can state what is your research and your contribution to the field is, and then you break it into few sections. So the first section is on what you've done and how you did it, and the next sections are the main findings. So you have to show the link across chapters. The other section is on possible areas for future research. And the final section is you can remind the readers of the original contribution and significance of your research to your field. Again, this is an example of how you can structurize your conclusions. How to conclude your conclusions? First thing first is you have to be enthusiastic. You have to avoid chapter shock. How to avoid chapter shock? You have to start writing notes of content for potential sections of your conclusion as you write other chapters, and then you have to add bit by bit as you think of them. If you find a succinct quote that encapsulates common misunderstandings about your field, then you can use it. Recap. This chapter summarizes the thesis, discusses its findings and contributions, points out limitations of the current work, and also outlines directions for future research. This chapter is divided into 3 sections. Section 5.1 is a summary of the thesis. Section 5.2 presents a discussion of the contribution and limitations of the current work. Section 5.3 discusses the future work. And finally, Section 5.4 brings the thesis to a conclusion. This is an example of how you can write your conclusion part. 5.1 is the summary of the thesis. 5.2.1 is the contribution of the thesis. 5.3 is the future work. 5.4 is the conclusion. This is an example of table of content format, and also format for your chapter 5, conclusion and recommendation. I'll be guiding you. On format, on thesis formatting. On week 6, I'll be guiding you in detail. Now I'll just give you a glimpse of what you'll be doing, especially on your chapter 5. Okay, so I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing virtually next week. Sincerely yours. Thank you guys. See you again. Bye.